Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Baldwin from Entertainment Weekly. Please help me welcome the stars of Sex Education, Asa Butterfield and Ncuti Gatwa. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
So you guys have such a natural on-screen rapport. Did you have much time to get to know each other before shooting began?
No, no, we didn't. We didn't meet at all in my audition process. We had no chemistry readings, nothing. So it's really good that we get along because that was a gamble. That was a big gamble. And we only met like a couple of days before we started filming, but it was instant. The love was there.
But as performers, how do you, especially when you're playing best friends who have known each other, all their lives, what is the process of, even with getting along off screen, what's the process of kind of creating that sense of, friendship that so the viewer will believe we've known each other and love each other?
I think it was, we were lucky. I think me and Ncuti have quite different energies, and Otis and Eric have quite different energies, and I think that helped because we ended up complementing each other, and we could kind of play off each other, and you see in the show that it's such a kind of honest and believable relationship. And I don't know really how that started. I think it was an ease. It was an ease and a trust between us and a kind of friendship, and that kind of let us just enjoy it and have fun with each other. And Ncuti has this thing called the Ncuti dial, which so he's as you know from the show, he's very, very naughty. And so he would have a dial which me and Ben would turn up or down depending on the scene, which basically is how much fun and how many jabs can Ncuti throw at me before it throws me off, basically. And so we had fun with that.
And Ncuti, you had done TV before, but this was really your first, lead co-starring role. How had your extensive theater background how did it help prepare you for, a very different format, the rigors of television production?
Yeah. I feel, so I went to drama school, classically trained, and I did a lot of classical and physical theater before Sex Education. And I feel like I just played so many different roles that I feel like Eric is he's a little bit of Mercutio, he's a little bit of Edmund here, he's a lot it's a bit like a stew when you're making a character. It's like cumin, paprika. You add all the different ingredients, and I felt like that's what Eric was for me. But I feel like coming into TV from a theater background, it was so interesting to me because when you do theater, the actors are in a room with a director, and it's just you guys, and then you go into the space, and it's been built for you, but all those guys are now gone. And so you can think as an actor that I'm the key person in this whole project. But with TV, you just see people working around you. So the crew, makeup, everyone is grafting to make this project come to life. And I think that was cool to see.
And Asa, in terms of your background, you had done TV too, but primarily film. And as a performer, what's that transition like? And how would you compare sort of the process of shooting a movie versus shooting episodic television?
The actual being on set was no different. The kind of day-by-day process was pretty similar and familiar. Everything that's going on, the crew, the setup, the routine in the morning, and even just the relationship with kind of everyone, the directors, it's the same. The biggest difference and sort of challenge, not the biggest challenge, one of the challenges is in TV, by nature of it, you just have a longer time span and a longer period of time you're with this character, especially if there's going to be multiple seasons. So you have more time to develop the character, and you have journeys within each episode as well as the journey of the whole season, which is something that with a film it's a bit simpler, or it's just a bit more kind of concise. There's a nice beginning and end, and you know what's going on between that, and then you might be shooting scenes from episode 1, and then you finish that scene, and then you're going on to a scene from episode 4 with potentially a whole other director. So there is a bit of a kind of hopscotch you got to do in your head sometimes, but it was fun. It was fine, and didn't prove to be that different at all.
And of course, Gillian Anderson is fantastic, and you both have really great scenes with her over the course of the season. I mean, Asa, you have lovely chemistry with her, and your scenes can be really funny, but also very moving. Like, what had you worked with her before, and how would you describe, what it was like with her on set?
No, we'd not worked together. We met, I think, possibly in one of our trailers, like the day that we were supposed to be filming together. So we had no time to kind of prepare or to figure out this relationship. Much like with me and Ncuti, we were just thrown in and see if we could swim. I'm not really sure how it happened. We both just found a very natural kind of rhythm between us. It felt very familiar. My mum's a psychologist. She's not a sex therapist, but there were some similarities of the openness of conversation and the questions within questions, which was familiar to me. And yeah, I think it just came very naturally. And when we were on set, they built this amazing house, as you saw. Well, they didn't build that house. They built the interior somewhere else. And when we were there, we kind of had, it just felt very homely and allowed us to kind of feel very relaxed, and it just helped.
And Ncuti, what was it like doing scenes with her for you? Because obviously, she, for both of you, I mean, she's a TV veteran. She knows, and this is a very different role for her, but she gets to be really funny, and it must be fun to, especially in her scenes with you.
Yeah. No, Gillian is amazing. I call her Auntie Gillian. So my life has changed a lot. And yeah, she's just has such, you can see why she's Gillian Anderson. I know that sounds a bit ridiculous, but like she's got such a natural grace in front of the camera. It was just I feel like I learned a lot from her, working with her. But yeah, it was cool. Yeah. It was very cool.
And, the show is so funny in between the very emotional moments. Like, there are plenty of great sort of awkward moments where the comedy comes from in terms of whether it's sex or with, Gene's collection of phalluses or whatever. Like, were there moments you remember, or can you remember a moment where you guys had a hard time keeping it together?
Multiple. Yeah. It was... Yeah, it's difficult to get you because the cast and all the crew as well are all jokers. Like, everyone's having fun on set, and so it was.
Who breaks the most on the cast?
Ooh. I don't want to call anyone out here.
Yeah, you do.
Who does break the most?
I don't know.
I don't know who breaks the most. I know whenever I'm with Ncuti, we kind of, just the fact that we're together, we both kind of. No, I don't know what it is.
Don't start.
No, I'm not starting. But there are definitely some scenes. There was a scene actually in season. So we just finished shooting season 2. There's a season 2, which on paper it's funny. But it's not like it's not a joke scene. And then we came to it, and and me and Ncuti could not hold ourselves together. Bear in mind, this is about 5 to 10 minutes before we have to wrap, and everyone's out. So we're kind of trying to get the scene, squeeze it in. And they go action, and this guy gives this line, which is a funny line, but it really tickled us. And we could hear Ben Taylor, the director, like sniggering in the background in the toilet, which would just
Ben Taylor is probably the biggest, but he's the director, and he is the biggest one to go. Yeah. I feel like he is the one that will corpse.
And he's always just within earshot, so you say a line and you hear him like giggling, like in a room next door, and you got to try and hold it together. Yeah.
Well, he can't get mad at anyone, I guess, if he's the one breaking all the time. So, so as you mentioned, you just finished shooting season 2, and It's so interesting because for season 1, you know, you guys got to sort of do it in a little bit of a vacuum. People hadn't seen the show yet, you know, and then of course it came out, it became a big hit, you know, something like 40 million streams. And how does that, as performers, how do you keep that, you know, sort of the idea that there are fan expectations now and there's increased scrutiny? How do you keep that from affecting the work when you go in to shoot season 2?
Well, for me, I mean, there is a bit of that. Like, there's two sides to it. One, we now know, because yeah, season 1, we don't really know what people are going to expect, and it worked. We know it worked, so you kind of get a confidence going into season 2 that what you did worked. But then you think now we have to be better than that, or take it to a new place, which is a bit daunting, but I'm not sure. You can't. I think I'm quite good at just focusing on like each day as it comes, and not getting caught up in the bigger picture, because then you just start thinking about other stuff, and you just got to be focused on what you're doing on the day. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure how.
Similar. I found it obviously nice coming into season that we had a season 2, But yeah, there was a bit of pressure, and I feel like I started filming, I'd be coming home, be like, oh my God, am I funny enough, or like was I sad? And like there's expectation, but I just had to remember, like at drama school, they were very clear on always go back to the script, and so I just tried to do what I did in season 1, which is just keep reading the script over and over, and just everything that you need is in the script. Or like the character is there, so if you do your work, like it should be fine. But I feel like I just kept going back to the writing.
And is there any sort of ad-libbing or improv on set? Like if somebody cranks the Ncuti dial up to 10, like where do we end up?
Oh yeah, yes.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of it. Ben's a big supporter of that. Ncuti definitely enjoys it too. We all do. We all do. It's a set where you're allowed to kind of have a little go at something. And at this point, especially in season 2, we all know our characters so well. We really can kind of react spontaneously or just do something in the moment, and you get some really, really great things from it, which is nice. And
Ncuti, I'm wondering, like, did you know how to play the French horn? And if not, like, is it hard to learn how to play it badly the way Eric does? Like, it seems like that wouldn't be easy.
I had lessons. I had to go to, we filmed in Wales, and I went to the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama to have French horn lessons, but to learn how to mime the French horn, because obviously they added the sound on top of it. It was quite tricky actually to learn how to be bad.
I remember when you got to take your French horn home to practice one time.
Yeah.
And you left it in the boot of a random taxi that we were in. We stepped out. It was about 9 o'clock whenever we got home. Both quite tired. Naturally, we just sort of closed the door and then wandered up, went to bed. And I got a text from Ncuti in the morning. It's like, Asa, I fucked up. And I'm like, listen, it's okay. Just let them know. We'll find it. Don't worry. Yeah. And it was fine.
It was fine. I wasn't allowed to take the French horn home again.
In terms of filming in Wales and the surrounding areas, it's a beautiful location, seems quite remote. How does that factor in when the cast is getting to know each other? Does it help sort of form a bond if you're all sort of staying in this, semi-isolated place together?
Yeah, it definitely does. Because it's a new place, we're all there, we're all kind of exploring it together, and we all, most of us had, they put us up in this sort of big apartment complex, and we all had a place there. So we had it almost kind of felt like university, as I would imagine a university campus might feel like. We could go over to each other's house for dinner, and it was cool. And it meant we really got to know each other. And it meant that we could. It just helped massively on set once you trust these guys, and we were all really great friends.
Did when you came back for season 2, were there like more fans lurking around trying to get pictures, or did that change at all?
Not where we lived. I can't remember.
Set,
I think some people tried to get into the school at times. And a few people got in. I don't know what the security. I think it was just letting whoever came through just press the button, open the gate. But no, we haven't had too much trouble with that. I mean, it is a beautiful part of Wales. If anyone fancies a trip down there, it's not sponsored. This is just me telling you, it's a beautiful.
You're
country.
not part of the tourism board now. Both of your characters have really lovely arcs over the course of the season in terms of, coming into your sort of into their self-confidence and things like that. And Ncuti, especially Eric, I really feel like by the end, he's feeling much more empowered about his sexuality and about his, confidence. And what interested you the most about that? Like, was there a pivotal moment, do you feel like, in the season for his transition? And what do you want to explore more of going forward?
Yeah, I feel I just fell in love with Eric from the moment I read him, because he was so fully fleshed. And, he's a black best friend. He's also a gay best friend. And so those things can be stereotyped and have been stereotyped before. But I feel like the writing was just so in-depth surrounding him, and I loved how we explored like his African background. I come from an African background. I love that we explored his relationship with church and how he just represents so many different intersections. He represents a lot, and I feel like that really really interested me about him, and his resilience as well. I feel like when you're a minority, especially when you're a minority within a minority, you have to be hella resilient. And so I just think that that really attracted me to him. Going forward, I just hope that I can. It's really nice that I get to play this character and I get to represent a lot of different people and marginalized voices, and so I hope that I can continue to do so.
And Asa, what would you say, that same question sort of for Otis, and how he, for lack of a better term, comes into his own by the end?
Well, yeah, I mean, Otis he was a fun part to play. I feel like a lot of people see parts of themselves growing up in Otis and in the sort of awkwardness, and I love playing awkward characters. It feels very natural for me. And I love the relationship with Eric. I think it's a beautifully written and beautifully crafted friendship that we haven't really seen before. He's a complex character because he's got a lot of inhibitions and a lot of worries and a lot of things he's unsure about himself, and that sort of lack of confidence. Yet he has this weirdly in-depth wealth of knowledge about sex and sexuality and this sort of maturity within him. So again, it's kind of, he's mature, but he's naive in a lot of ways, and it was fun, and he's funny. And it's fun to. I've done a lot of drama mostly when I was younger, so it's nice to do some comedy and be able to have some laughs and give some laughs.
And finally, this is a safe space. Everyone's a SAG member or actors. So let's talk about your worst auditions. And just anything that comes to mind.
Worst. There's a lot. There's quite a few. What was my worst edition?
Or even just a bad one.
But
you mean like a bad experience, or I feel like it was
like a bad experience in that for example, an actress told me recently that she had to act as the woman reading the script, just read the directions to her basically, rather than she didn't get the script, so she just read to her, okay, now you're scared, now you're being eaten by a demon, now that kind of thing.
Oh gosh, no, I've never had that. I've had a fair few auditions where like the director hasn't like even looked at me. That yeah. So, yeah, I know. Like, and yeah, so that's obviously you're like trying to do your best work, and like they're like this. That's not cool. I've had a couple. I mean, auditioning for this was quite exciting. I remember my final one. I just started twerking, and then I think that's how I got the job. I got the job, to be honest.
I mean, it's in the show. You see episode 2, he starts twerking on me. It's like
it was that scene.
Yeah. I don't know. when he said that, one audition popped into my mind, and it's not necessarily it wasn't anything bad that they did. Basically, I got into the audition, and I think it was as I was walking from the waiting room to the audition room, I realized I'd stepped in dog shit. And I was walking there, and I was like, this smells. I get into the room, close the door. It's not a big room. And I'm there, and they put the camera up, and they start rolling, and I can smell. And I'm like, this is really throwing me off. And bless them, they didn't say anything. And I think it was quite early in the day, so they'd probably had a lot of auditions going into that room. And there was a carpet. I didn't look. I'm sorry if you're here in the audience. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
And that I didn't get the part. Yeah.
Can't work with him. He stinks.
Essentially, yeah.
Well, it's good to share these experiences, and it sounds like, we've all stepped in dog shit in our life, so exactly. Well, thank you guys so much for being here, and you can stream Sex Education Season 1 on Netflix now, and Season 2 will be coming soon.
Soon, very soon.
Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.